Everyone, it's Jay here from the Training Court TCG a Pokemon TCG podcast bringing you anything and everything Pokemon TCG related. If you are looking for Pokemon TCG competitive decks ready to go, including GLC decks, please head over to PokéDex4U.com. Pokédex4U has a variety of decks ready for sale, with each deck being fully customizable and bespoke to your needs. Use the code Training Court TCG for 5% off your first order. Now let's get on to the episode. Hello everyone and welcome to the Training Court TCG, a Pokemon TCG podcast about anything and everything Pokemon TCG related. Jay back in the driver's seat after a few weeks off, and I am joined by my fellow co-hosts Andy, Al and Kath. Hello, well, good to be back.
Good to be back.
We've
been back.
Good to have you back. We're back to a full bench with Jane.
A full bench, exactly. A full bench for we'll see for how long, because we're pretty inconsistent at the moment. Apologies if you unfortunately we were unable to record last week due to illnesses, and then the weeks before that I was away, and then just real life issues. But we are back this week. We're back to talk about some results. We're talking about some interesting new decks that are showing in the format, discussing the new 151. Now it is officially out in the English format, and also see what we've been playing. So to crack on and to start us off with what we've been playing, I am going to go to Kat.
I have actually been playing on live this week.
Yeah.
What have you been playing?
Guess.
Clefairy.
Yeah.
How's Clefairy been faring against the meta?
I'm trying to tweak it to make it as good as it was pre-rotation.
And how's that going?
I think it's got better cards post-rotation.
What does it miss?
Scoop up net.
Quick ball. Training Court.
But you can use answers on now, can't you?
But there's just not much room.
Is Nest Ball, what do you need? Does it matter if you're putting it straight on the bench or you're putting it from hand?
No.
Yeah, so Nest Ball, I guess, is as good as Ultra Ball for you.
I play Fog Crystals. A couple of Ultra Balls to get rid of the VIP passes that I inevitably don't get on my first turn, but then get on every other turn. I play. Still trying to make it work. Still annoying people. It's been matching me with, so I'm like Pikachu rank or whatever, 200 points, and it's matching me with like 700, 800 people, and I know they'll just be there getting annoyed. Especially when I win.
It doesn't, like, there's some like Lost Box probably just runs all over it, but Gardevoir actually is quite. I think I played against you a few weeks ago, and it's quite tough for a Gardevoir because you get set up so quickly.
The deck that's annoying me at the minute is Alakazam.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, because it can just hit the bench, can't it?
Yeah.
So does it use the block? Does it just use a block Snorlax and just put something in the active?
One person that I played had on the bench Klefkis and Snorlaxes.
Yeah.
And then 2 Alakazams, not even just 1. So no chance.
Have you tried Clefable from Obsidian Flames? You tried to use that? Has that been any success, or have you even tried it?
I have. It's in there. I'll be honest, not often do I get it unless I need to not have 60 HP.
That's such an awkward number, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It is. Yeah. It's quite handy for the free retreat that it gives everything with psychic energy attached, because then even if you attach one to Greninja, if they try and stick you, it's free.
Can Clefairy use Bravery Charms?
Yeah.
Clefairy can, I guess.
Yeah.
Clef is a separate basic, isn't it?
Yeah, completely separate,
Yeah, so Clefairy can use Bravery Charms.
I'm glad they didn't just I mean, they can't just reprint Clefairies as stage ones, but I'm glad that the baby Pokemon, like the actual baby Pokemon, are not like the basic, then stage one, then stage two.
Yeah.
Togepi is.
Yeah, but Togepi's, it's always been like that. So it's
Yeah.
always been.
Mm.
It's never. I think it's an evolution line. I don't think it's a baby Pokemon, is it?
Togepi.
Togepi's a bit. I would class as a
Yeah,
baby Pokemon. Yeah.
Togepi, Togetic, and then
Yeah. But it's. I don't think Togetic is like would be a basic. Like, it's always when Togetic and what's the second one called?
Togetic.
What's the third one called then?
Togekiss.
I just said
I think
them.
they got released as a 3. Like, they got released as a one line,
They
whereas
did,
all
yeah.
the other ones got given an extra, like, Munchlax and
Yeah, I think
Cleffa.
they just forgot about Cleffa.
Mm.
Iggly.
Igglybuff.
Buff as well. I suppose that's
Pichu as
the-
well. Pichu.
Yeah.
Pichu beat
Pichu,
separate one, I
Pichu
suppose. Yeah.
hasn't had a card in ages.
No.
It's had one more recently than Bonsley. Although Bonsley's now had one. Thank
Yeah.
you for
Yeah.
playing. First one was in
Justice for
15
Bonsley.
years. I've kept a couple of Bonsley because I'm like, this is a significant moment. It's been like 12, 13 years since they last printed them. But yeah, obviously, time to cap and keep flying that Clefairy flag.
Always.
If I ever come across anyone online playing Clefairy, I'll 99% time.
Just concede. It's just concede
It'll either
instantly.
be me or someone that I've influenced.
Yeah.
We're the
Fair
only people that play it.
Fair enough. Al, what have you been playing this week?
So I went to a cup on Sunday, which is the first cup I've ever been to. I've been to a few challenges, and I went to a cup on Sunday. They say that cups are a bigger challenge than challenges, that more people turn up. But I actually the people that I played against were the same people that are at my local meta and local challenges, so it wasn't super different. I didn't do great. We had 5 games, won 1, drew 2, and lost 2. In the 5 games, I actually scooped 3 times. Game 1. So I didn't have one of the games was I was against a Lost Box Tina, and I drew routes pass or routes Manaphy pass, one of them, and then I only had 1 route, and then they just escape rope cram, and I was like, okay, that's it. That's over. But yeah, so game 1 I played against a Lost Zard. I know you're going to talk about Lost Zard, but I played against a Lost Zard. It's the first Charizard I've actually played against in real life. And scooped the first game within like 2 turns because just bricked. Then game 2 was 1 energy short from the win, unfortunately. Played 10-2, and I over-attached to different Pokemon. I was Cresselia-ing, and I didn't stop attaching to spreading the energies. So I actually played the same deck again, not the same person, and kind of ran into the same not issue, but ran into the same circumstance. And this time I actually did do it properly, and I won. That was the game that I won. So I learned. I played a Guardian Mirror as well, which is something that I've been practicing. Actually, I've been having coaching sessions with Jesper again, and we practiced the Guardian Mirror. I won the first game, then lost the second game because I prized 2 routes and just couldn't draw. I evolved them both, just couldn't. One was taken out, just couldn't draw into any super routes to get any more routes back in. Then I ended up, the one that I won was a Miraidon, and I always say, but Miraidon I feel is the easiest matchup, and I don't think he was having a great time with it himself anyway. At least for Gardevoir, Miraidon, you just go 2-2-2 or take out the Flaffy with the Cresselia or Mareep, and they can't really use their Raichu as well as they should. But also I've been playing so that was my League Cup experience, and overall I thought I played pretty well, even though I didn't have the results. I felt that I played solidly. It's just sometimes that's the draw. Sometimes the draw just doesn't happen for you.
What deck won? Sorry, out of curiosity.
I didn't stay around for the top cut. So
there's that community spirit that we're trying to Spread. Didn't stay around. Played my games, lost, got the prize back, and left.
Yeah. Well, I got one prize back. Paul did a lot of Vulpix V-Star there, so I was quite happy.
In Italian.
In Italian. But yeah, and on the ladder, I've actually been trying Gardevoir with Mew EX, and I sent some clips to you, Jay. But a couple of games I managed to get off the Greninja, and they're not expecting it. Soon people will be expecting to put Manaphy. But yeah, I managed to get a Greninja off against Lost Box. I managed to get a Greninja off against Miraidon, Chien-Pao. Against Lugia, managed to do, for the win, copy Tyranitar's attack 240 to knock Tyranitar out with Mew. So Mew EX is putting in work, and it's not just one of those cards that comes out like Regidrago V-Star and everyone, the whole internet's going, this is going to be the best thing since sliced bread. But Mew EX is, and maybe we can talk about Mew EX in a bit later about the meta, but Mew EX is the real deal. It is the real deal. Just don't bench it at the start because it's only got 180 HP. It's a late game attacker.
Fair enough.
If you copy in Greninja, do you have to discard the energy?
Yeah, but it's fine for Gardevoir because you just get it back again with.
So Mew
I'm
EX.
thinking not in Gardevoir though.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I wonder which deck you're wondering. You're thinking about.
The one thing that can catch you out is copy. I did this as well. I copied a V-Star, Giratina V-Star to knock it out for 280, but you have to Lost Zone 2 energy, which is not ideal for Gardevoir because that's gone forever. He only played 10, so yeah, I would say just if your deck relies on energy and you don't play like Lost Box, if you put a Mew EX in Lost Box and you use Giratina and you put it against Giratina, but you haven't won the game already, then you have to be careful because it's quite a commodity energy in Lost Box.
Mew EX can obviously copy the attacks, but it's also it's still got to adhere. It's got to adhere to the effects of the attacks. So, for example, it can't copy Lost Mine unless you actually do have 10 in the Lost Zone yourself.
Yeah, so I lost the game. I only had four cards in the deck and a copy Tyranitar's attack.
You milled your own deck. Oh,
I milled my own deck. I did it.
So we'll move on, but just for reference for our listeners out there, no one thought Regidrago V was better than sliced bread apart from Al.
YouTube.
So no one did. No one did.
LDF telling me.
No one did.
I mean, it's fun
that's
to play,
for content. That's for content. But no one, in realistic terms, thought that deck was going to be good. And I know you keep saying that someone won it in NAIC. Won NAIC? That was juniors. So. Yeah, no one thought Regidrago was better than sliced bread. Moving on swiftly.
We want it to be good, though.
We want it to be good. It's just it's too. Anyway,
it's just not good. Yeah.
Andy, what have you been playing this week?
So I have been playing Lost Box Giratina. I played a challenge on Monday at Fanboy 3. So there's about 26 people in total for the challenge.
Yeah, it was 27 in total, actually.
Was there? Oh, right, yeah.
Massive challenge, yeah.
Yeah. I think I played... I think there was a couple of misplays, but my matchups were... I played a... Lost. I think it was a... No, sorry, it was a mirror. I played 2 mirrors in total. A mirror... which I lost because I didn't start with Comfy, Battle VIP. I think I started with Sableye and a Greninja, I think, and I didn't have any energy in hand to start using Greninja. I had to wait a couple of turns to start getting stuff in the Lost Zone. And that's what killed it for me because he got up straight away. So the first game was a bit of a write-off. Second game was a win. He played a Tinkerton deck, but he was bricking hard. And I'd set up pretty quick. I didn't have the best of setups, but he was bricking. So I won that one. Next matchup was, I think that was the second mirror. I won that one. We both set up really well. And I kind of got ahead of the prizes and then fell behind a bit. But ended up taking the win by top decking what I needed on like the last turn. And then won that one. So that's the fourth one was Mew, and I really struggled. I don't really play against Mew much, even though Kath plays Mew, and I struggled with that matchup because I started well, had the Giratina at V, and he just bossed it up and knocked it out with the Mii V Max. So then all through the game, I was like, I can't bench another. I had one Giratina V, and I didn't want to bench it because he'd just boss it up and knock it out. I managed to take like 3 prizes by bossing up his one of his Genesects and knocking out his Ice Cube. But then he'd won. He was too far ahead at that point. And then my last match was a tie. And that was against Charizard. And he was running it with Glade. With Buddy Catch.
Using the curlier engine then, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. That was a really close game. Yeah, I think we both ended up going to turns, and we both had 2 prizes left. So I needed probably one more turn to close it out. But finish it. That's where Matt was saying you need to play quicker. And I do think I played quick, but half an hour is
it's tight.
Yeah, it's tight. But yeah, I just
especially for best of one. I think that's probably the big difference. Is obviously these challenges we go to best of one. I assume, Alex, your cup was best of 3, I guess.
It was, yeah.
Because you mentioned scooping, so
yeah.
But it was overall you still enjoying Lost Tina.
Oh yeah.
Chen Pao's not in the corner, being
he's there in the corner looking at me.
shivering
and chilling.
Don't
I
will
Chen
probably
Pao in the corner
again soon. For the moment, I'm staying with Giratina. I wanted to play it for so long. I never A, had the cards, and B, wanted to like play it over like Turbo Lost Box or just straight Lost Box. But yeah,
there does seem to be a lot of them as well. A lot of Lost Zone Tinas knocking about. So when did you come? Sorry.
I was 14th overall. So not too bad.
It's not bad. It's like
top 16. Yeah, I was going to say top 16 out of a 27-player cup. It's good going. It's definitely it's some good players as well. I know we spoke to we've had Niall on the channel, who obviously was very, very positive about the community and the caliber of players that they have at Fanboy. And we've had Matt on, who goes to Worlds. We've had loads of Worlds competitors go from Fanboy. The Northwest is actually stacked. I think the Northwest is some phenomenal players, and we're really lucky we get to play with them every week, really. So it's it's learning from them. But yeah, so you're carrying on with the Lost Tina. So you mentioned the Charizard EX. I have tried that one with the curlier engine, and I hated it. I hated it. I really, really didn't like it. I felt it was too slow. I also felt it was you have to. I always in my hand. I always felt I either had the rare candy and no Zard, or the Zard and no rare candy, and there was no guaranteed way of getting it. So I have moved over to the Lost Box version of Charizard EX, and I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite decks now. I've had more fun with this deck than I've had. It's probably going back to Guardi when I first started playing Guardi, and maybe even I think it's more fun than Lugia. I've ever had playing Lugia. So
everything's more fun than Lugia.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, given that I always said I'd never play a Lost Box, I'd never play Lost Box. yeah,
You played Gudra.
I did play Gudra. Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's still a version of it, isn't it? So,
yeah.
But I think for me, it's just how fast it gets. You can start attacking straight away on your first turn. You can start attacking, and I think that's what the buddy catcher version with the curly engine lacks, because you were basically setting up, and then you were basically using buddy catcher to go and get boss and stuff, but you weren't attacking until a couple turns in. Whereas with this, you can, like I said, the cram. I was one of the guys that was playing against called it the bird of death, the murder bird. It just hit really, really hard, really quickly, and get, all of a sudden, if you're on a V, it hits 110. So, if you're playing Lost Tina, if you can get a hit on Tina, all of a sudden 110 on a Tina makes it a lot less scary than a 280 with no health, with no damage on it. So, that kind of spoils the surprise. But I have been playing a lot of Lost Zard. Is it Lost, or is it Sable Zard EX or Lost Zard? I'm not sure. I've heard both, so it's Lost Sable Zard EX.
Zard in a box.
Zard in a box, yeah. And I've actually, to be fair, I've played in 2 challenges in the past week. So I played in Geek Retreat Berry's challenge, and there's something about Geek Retreat Berry. I just don't perform well in those tournaments at all. I just never, ever, ever do well. I think I've never finished in the top 8 or even the top 4 because I always just, something happens, and I played, and I think I won 2, lost 2. That was my record on Saturday. The 2 weeks before that, just when I got back from holiday before I was ill, I actually went to Rewind Games in Ashton under Lyne for the Northwest, and I actually played Lost Zone Tina as well. And it's the first and only time I've played Lost Zone Tina in a challenge in a competitive scene. I came 2nd out of 18, so I got some more points, and I refused to ever play it again. I had such a bad time. And I lost to he's a good friend of ours, Ross Wild. So Ross actually played Lost Zone Tina, and we ended up meeting at 4. We were both 4-0, and he just had a hell of a start. But then he literally started with 1 Comfy, and I started with 2 Giratina Vs. And I had no ball search, no attack, nothing. It took me ages to get anything in the Lost Zone. He literally he showed me his hand. He was like, "This is dead hand. I think you've got this." Top decked Nest Ball. Then got another Comfy out. First flower selecting Battle VIP Pass. And he was set up. For me, I was like, attach energy pass. So he won very, very quickly. But I mean, for me, realistically, I also didn't feel very good about that win. Even though coming 2nd, I probably shouldn't have won all my games, but I did somehow. I think the second game, I was against Chen Pao, and the person I was playing against actually had the win condition but didn't see it, and then missed it, and I won. And I was like, I'm sorry to tell you, but you had that. And that didn't make them feel... Well, they still came 3rd, so they did really well in the end. And then the 3rd game, my opponent got a game loss during the game, which was quite interesting. Right. Because basically they'd left a stadium on the other table, and they had and we started playing and set up, and then someone was like, "Oh, is this your card?" And he was like, "Yeah." And the judge was like, "So how far into the game are you?" Like, we're about 10 minutes in, so that's obviously best of 1, 30 minutes is a third of the way in. They'd already taken a prize, and the judge was like, "It's a legal deck." It's an illegal deck. So we got, and we carried on. They actually won, so I felt really guilty about that. Obviously, I didn't do anything, but I felt guilty. Didn't feel good. And the only good game I actually won was against Mew. Actually, surprisingly, that was the only good game. But then, going back to the league challenge that Andy referenced, I went to Fanboy, played Lost Sable Zard EX, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I went 4-1. I came 4th. So again, a couple more CP. So I'm just nearing 50 CP for the season, which is only 450 to go. And I played out my skin. I've been testing it a lot. I've been refining it a lot. So my list obviously is very, very similar to Alberto Benvengas, who came third in the special event in Barcelona. He's the first one really that we saw playing that. I know I played someone who played that very similar, but just it was interesting seeing in a competitive scene how well it did with the matchups. So I copied his list, but then I just kept testing it and made some refinements. I changed some energy, changed some this and that, and I'm pretty settled on. I was talking to Al about it today. I'm pretty settled on my list now. I think I've got 58 cards that I'm pretty much guaranteed.
It's very tight. It's a tight list.
Such a tight list. Like you were like, "What heavy balling?" I was like, "For what?"
What's entertaining? What's the two cards you can?
So the two, I wouldn't even say two. I still think there's only one card, and it's basically it is. Oh, it's a nest ball. I put 3 nest ball in.
Oh.
So it's usually Alberto's list played 2. I've had no issue with 2, but I thought I'd never ever used Raihan. It never came up in testing. I always lost zoned it whenever it came, and I know it's a very situational card. And it's there. I know it's a very situational card, and I know it's there for situations. But in the entire testing, I've never needed it. It's never come up as well. So I got rid of that for another nest ball just for consistency. I also changed. I got rid of Jet Energy to put in. There's a couple of lists knocking about, but basically mine plays Jet. I actually originally put in Water Energy instead of Jet, so I could try the Mirage Ninja Gates. And that never came off, and I was like, I'm leaning too heavily into it. So just again to replace those 2 for Jet Energies. But overall, I played it really well. I'm enjoying it as well. That's I think the main thing. And my matchups were, my first matchup was, what's my first matchup? I don't even know. I know my second matchup was Lugia. And Lugia does Lugia things where it bricked. And he only got out Lugia for all 3 turns. And I lost vacuumed away his Mesagoza. So he had literally nothing. And I just crammed into him 3 times for the win. I felt really bad. Third game was Miraidon. I tell you what, I've got to talk about this because I think this is in terms of obviously when we started this Training Court podcast, it's about our evolution as players, etc., etc. I look back at that Miraidon game and think how I would have played that last year. I would have just gone, into certain things, and how I now look at the board state differently and try and plan ahead, etc. Basically, I was actually 6-3 down in terms of prizes against Miraidon, and I won. I took 6 prizes before she took. Before she took 1 more off me, and then I basically I boss stalled it. It was really bad actually. I boss stalled Zapdos. She then had to use her Forest Sealstone for switch or an escape rope. She took another knockout. I then put Comfy in up front, and by that time I'd actually started hitting into things. She actually started with Raichu, and I thought to myself, the only Pokemon that can really do much damage to my deck at the moment is Raichu. She had enough energy on board. So then when I bossed up the second time, I knew she was struggling for energy. I knew she had no outs. So I was like, boss up and I can buy myself some time. So I bossed up her Zapdos again. She couldn't get out of it. But I was actually, before that, she'd switched cart Raichu out and I'd already crammed into it. So we had 80 health left. So what I did was I kept playing around and I kept passing, which then she was just setting up hers. And I eventually got to 10 in the lost zone, put Sableye in, and took the Raichu out whilst it was still on the bench. And then I was able to I used Horlucha to start pinging other things as well. So brought everything down a little by 10, I know, but still it helped because I was able to, the Flaffy was all of a sudden 80, which gave me another 40 for somewhere else to help me start set up for next turn, etc. And I played out my skin for that. And I was like so happy. And then the next game, I Manaphy pass. That was my only loss was Manaphy pass against the Guardi. That was against Matt Byram, obviously, who you guys have seen on the channel. So we did actually play again, and I did beat him quite convincingly. I can probably say that because he won't bring it up.
No, does it?
Exactly.
No,
exactly,
when it doesn't matter, that's when it comes off.
And then my final matchup was my first matchup was against Lost Goodra, actually. That's it. I remember now. It was Adrian.
Oh yeah.
But my last matchup was against Tina, a lost Tina, and again, certain things are really good in that matchup. So, for example, Horlucha is fantastic for that matchup because Charizard with 3 prizes gone hits for 270, and that Horlucha brings Giratina down to 270, and it's just those little things that make a big difference in the prize race. So yeah, I'm all in. I've played a lot of Lost Zard EX in the past 2 weeks, and I think I've lost 2 or 3 games and won about 14 on the bounce. So I'm really enjoying it, and I feel a bit dirty because it's just Sableye. I hate Sableye, and when you get the 2 of them going as well, and it's just checkmate, I feel dirty. But hey ho, it is.
How are you gonna feel when the Jirachi releases?
I'll be back to thingy then. I'll be back to Guardy. I'll be Guardy Mew by then. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's been a couple of weeks since we spoke. I know you guys, whilst I was on holiday, you spoke obviously about Pittsburgh, you spoke about the Champions League, but since then we've had 2 more events actually. So we've had a special event over in Barcelona, which was a fortnight ago now, I think, by the time this releases. So it's a fortnight ago, and then also we've had a regional over in Latin America in Curitiba in Brazil, and it looks like Charizard's taking over. So I think probably we'll have a quick chat about the Barcelona special event, because it was quite interesting, because it was the first event we've had in the new meta in Europe, so I think that's quite important. There's also something we may need to talk about as well, about one of our fan favorite player of ours, and potentially slow playing. So I think we'll touch on that. But if you look at the top 8, if you want to have a look at the special event for Barcelona, the event itself was won by Francisco Toranzo Santiago, who was obviously from Spain, and he was running the Intel Urshifu deck, so the Rapid Strike box. Again, this deck just seems to be seeing a lot of play, and it's just really, really good. I've not watched the final, but I know you guys have, and you've said literally, if you want to see someone like with that deck who's just perfected that art, watch that match, because he was against Gardy. Yeah, exactly. That's the way you used it. It was against Gardy, wasn't it? So Michael Hunter from Ireland always came second with Gardy, but Francisco. Yeah, I mean, you wanted to have a quick chat about it, Al?
Yeah, well, I watched it. I watched it live, I think I did, or maybe I watched it back. But yeah, I was like, I felt sorry for the Guardian. It was just like literally just watching unfold as his tournament hopes got shattered by like double yoga loop. No, well, you can't double yoga, but like turn 2 yoga loop, then I think he hit into, or maybe that's the second game, he hit into Zacian, and then he was just doing the maths were just perfect, and there was just no respite for the Gardevoir player. Turn 2 yoga loop, then hitting into Manaphy and the Curlier with the double gunner, and then turn after that another yoga loop, and it was just all over in I think it was maybe 10-15 minutes for the first game. Then the second game, turn 2 yoga loop again, and it was ridiculous. It's not an easy deck to play. I've heard.
It's not, no. I mean, when I saw you last week, Andy, you were playing Lostina versus this, and Matt plays this deck a lot, and he likes this deck a lot, and I know you were playing against it. It looks like a really bad board. It looks like a really it looks like you're in control. Like, as the opponent, it looks like you're in control, and they've got nothing, and all of a sudden, like you said, the perfect maths just come out of nowhere and just take
just pinging damage onto your bench, and then before you know it, it's yoga loop and
dead.
Matt Ollie did it that quick. I was like, "Oh, you played a supporter last turn?" He was like, "Yeah, but I've just yoga looped." It's like,
it's just seamless, isn't it? It's seamless, isn't it? So I mean, Francisco's deck itself looks pretty standard. I mean, there's some good obviously cards in there. I haven't played this. I tested it before EUIC last season, but I never actually went into it. But again, looking here, there's a couple of, you got Iridas, the Melanies, Ionos, Karina's Focus, which obviously is a fantastic card. Clara, I didn't think Clara was played in it, but it makes sense, really. Cheryl, obviously, for healing the damage, is fantastic. The one that really surprises me is Giacomo. And Giacomo's a one-of inclusion here. But obviously with Luminion in deck, you can always pick that out. But I tell you what, Giacomo, I have been thinking recently, I said it even the other day, I was like, Giacomo against Mew would be fantastic. So Giacomo is discard a special energy from each of your opponent's Pokemon. So if you as a Mew Fusion Mew deck, if you've set up and you've spread your DTEs and your fusion energies, if you take them out, all of a sudden that deck struggles because the fusion is the big numbers, especially the big VMAXs. You need those fusion. You need the Meloetta to use the big numbers and also power tablets to take those big knockouts. If they're gone, I thought about Giacomo because I pulled the full art recently, and I was like, they could go in a deck, but it's just difficult without Luminion to actually get it, and that's the problem. But I think it could be a good inclusion. But yeah, I mean, I still need to go back and look and watch that match. But I heard it was fantastic, and obviously congratulations. Obviously, we mentioned Michael Hunter. So Michael Hunter was rocking the Guardi list. This is a pretty standard Guardi list. There seems to be two kind of variations of Guardi at the moment, which is basically Turbo Tord, which is Luminion and two Zacians. And I think he doesn't play Worker. He plays Lost Vacuum instead of Worker, I believe. Al's muted, so we can't hear him.
Oh, I'm back. Yeah, I was actually just slowly just trying to just make sure that you pronounce Giacomo. Anyway,
it's Giacomo, I know. I've asked that a lot.
It's Giacomo. So yeah, Turbo Tord's list is actually just one Zacian, Luminion, the Forest Sealstone is basically his kind of list.
And I think they put Lost Vacuum instead of Worker, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure his list. So
Lost Vacuum instead of Worker. Yeah.
But then there's another list that people are playing there. You still keep the Workers. You don't play Luminion. You have one Zacian, and basically it's just super rodding them back in and Palpad. So yeah, the list. Michael's list obviously is just very, very straightforward. The 4 routes, the 3 refinement Curlier, the 1 Mirage Step, which again is a Tord trope now almost. It's pretty much standard. Worker is in there, and a Lost Vacuum in 2 stadiums, and a 10-2 split of energy for reversal. So obviously it's just a consistent deck, isn't it? It is just a good solid deck.
It's completely refined now, isn't it? It's just completely optimized.
Massively so, yeah, massively so. But there does seem to be 2 variations knocking about, and it seems to be the Australian testing group who have their version of it, and then there's also Tord's version. So it's either Turbo Tord or the Aussie list. So
it's not super different. It's probably the same 57 cards, I'd say. Like there is just some differences, like an extra research instead of Illuminion. A Worker, it's very, very, the whole thing about two Fog Crystal, 4 Level Ball, 3 Ultra Ball, 3 Iono is there's 4 Iono in this one. Is very, very, it's just settled on now, I think. I think just the odd card that changes based on the meta.
No, definitely so. And then in 3rd place, there was Alberto Benvenga. I've obviously mentioned his list already. Charizard Lost Zone Box, they call it on Limitless. But yeah, it's just, it's the comfy engine with hitting early with Crams, and then Sableye for late game with Charizard with the energy, just bringing it in. It's a standard list, and it's now becoming very, very popular. I've seen a lot of them. I think the deck that actually won the Challenger Fanboy on Monday, that was the Lost Zone Charizard box as well, so it's seeing a lot more play.
Is it better? You played Lost Charizard the most out of all of us. Is it better than Lost Tina? Because it essentially is very similar. You have Lost Box with a very strong 2 prize attacker. Is it?
Yeah, I think it's better than Lost Tina. Yeah.
You do have a lot more liabilities on your bench for a bit if you don't get that rare candy Charizard.
Yeah. No, agreed, 100% there. But for me, it's just more of the fact that you're almost relying on Mirage Gate to get you rely on Mirage Gate to get the Tinas up
active,
and active, whereas the Charizard EX is self-sufficient energy wise, and it's just that the
If Pat's not
ability,
down.
if Pat's not down yet, but the ability to get that much energy on board every time you evolve a Charizard is just busted. It is absolutely busted. I don't know who is Burning Brightly. I think is the ability. Don't know who approved that ability, but it's just absolutely busted. And it's like I said, it only hits for 2 energy. And like I said, 3 prize cards down, it hits for 270 for 2 energy, which it generates itself when you evolve it. It's just, I think it's obscene. But yeah, no, I'm really, really enjoying
Infernal
it.
Rain
as well, 330.
Is it Infernal Rain? Sorry, yeah.
Burning
Brightly is the Pogo one, yeah. Burning Brightly is the Pogo one, yeah. Infernal Rain is the, yeah, that's right. I should know, I've been playing it. And then in kind of moving on from that.
So let me just say, would you not include a Burn Brightly Charizard?
It's not needed.
No.
It's really not needed,
You
no.
can power it up by attacking, by evolving.
But
also, I think
if you're playing the other Charizard EX,
you'd need it for the other Charizard EX. You need to. Is that 3 or 4?
I'm just thinking if you get path locked.
I mean, the thing is that it's only 2 energy to attack, so it's not like it's a massive. It's not like a 4 energy attacker. So I mean, I did.
Entei manages to attack, then Raikou, then Charizard can, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I did get path locked in my Tina match, but by the time that it path locked, I'd already attached 1 energy manually onto the Charmander, and then when I evolved, I just attached from hand. So so I didn't need it, and it just hits so hard for.
It's a minor nuisance revolving and not being able to attach the energy when you're able to manually attach. It's a minor nuisance that not being able to attach to other places, but you're still powered up and ready to go. So.
Yeah, which is why I think the difference in the Arc Pidgeot Charizard list is it's all reliant on it, isn't it? On the abilities. Yeah, exactly. So then moving on, we've got Giancarlo Granata, who came in 4th place with Lugia. So Lugia, I think you mentioned it in the Pittsburgh. It's seen a lot of play still. It's still such a good deck, and the single striker seems to be the most prominent one. The difference really now with the single strike is they've got rid of the Urshifus. Urshifus are no longer needed. You literally, you're attacking with Lugia, you're attacking with your Veltal, your Stonejourner, your T-Tars, really, and that's it. I mean, looking at the list, there's nothing here really that shouts, wow, really, that's innovative. That's just literally a Lugia list. But Lugia is the flip of a coin. You're either good or you're not. you either get the look or not.
It either works or it doesn't.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Can see Tyranitar could potentially hit 320? No, 320 or 340 maybe. No. What can it
hit? Single strike energy.
It's 4. How much does it get to when it's 60? So yeah, 300 it can hit.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. It's good damage.
It is, but you have to mill. As Andy said, you mill yourself. Was it Al? Sorry, you said you used it and you milled yourself out of your own deck. You got to be careful. But Cragalanche is good. Obviously 60, and that can hit 100 with the energies, and you mill your opponent's deck. It's quite handy. But Lugia is not going around going anywhere. I think it's staying. So it's definitely interesting. And then just kind of we'll round out the top 8. Tord Reklev came 5th with his Guardi. I believe in his final game he actually prized 2 EXs, and there's just nothing you can do with that. There's just nothing. You just gotta admit defeat. But look again, looking at his list, he's got it's Turbo Tord now. It's just aluminium.
Turbo Tord or not so Turbo Tord as we've seen in some of the matches.
Well, that's it. Yeah. And then the round out the top 8 was Miloslav Posledeny on Lost Box, Talondale on Lost Box, and Francesco Jesus Thomas Tavar on Lost Box. So quite a lot of Lost Box.
All the turbo ones, yeah.
All the turbo ones, yeah. I want to say all the turbo ones. I will.
Yeah, they are. Just check them all.
Are they all checked? Yeah, because I know the Kyogre. There's a lot of people saying Kyogre is the play at the moment. The Kyogre Lost Box. Hard. I did try
it. The
Kyogre version.
For expert Lost Box players will play the Kyogre and do well, but if you're not a 10 out of 10 expert in Lost Box, it's very, very difficult.
It really
Very
is.
difficult.
It really is. So that was our kind of our first introduction into the Obsidian Flames meta, in Europe at least. Obviously, I know Pittsburgh, it was legal, but it was the first one into Europe. But then we also, as mentioned earlier on, we had the regional over in Brazil, so Curitiba, 379 players. And if I was to say it was a Charizard fest, that would be an understatement. So it was eventually won by William Azevedo, who was running Charizard. He beat Francesco Osorio, who was playing Lost Zone Tina. But then rounding out the top 8 was Leonardo Walbrink, Charizard. João Requena, Charizard. Juliana Alves Marquez, who was playing an Arc Umbreon deck, which I actually did start playing a couple weeks ago. And I was like, it's going to come back. It's going to come back. It could be the time to come back.
Lucario V.
Yeah. Dalton Acheta, Charizard. Juan Andrea Magea was Gardevoir, and Pedro Petrucci, who obviously I know Pedro's kind of the main name I know there, to be honest. Charizard. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of the top 8 were all Charizard decks. But the actual winning list is quite interesting, isn't it? And a lot of people say, oh, that's it, they've cracked Charizard. I'm a bit indecisive about it. Apparently, it's all over the ladder at the moment. The moment this result came out, it was all over the ladder.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
For everyone who's obviously at home listening, can't see the screen, it's playing 4 Charmander, 1 Charmeleon, 3 Charizard EX. It's running 2/2 line of Pidgeot EX, 1 Entei V, Radiant Charizard, Luminion V, Manaphy, Mysterious Tail Mew, and Mawile, which I've not seen it since EUIC actually. So it looks good. The supporter list is a bit interesting. It's got 4 Arvens, which I understand. Arven, I think, is a guarantee for it, given the fact that you're able to jump in and get your choice belt, your forest seal stones, and your rare candies. Then you've also got 3 Boss's Orders, 2 Ionos, 1 Professor's Research, and 1 Penny. So that's the support list. The pennies is interesting, given the fact that pennies were everywhere, really, especially in Guardi at one point, and they've kind of gone off the boil now recently. But I mean, it's strong. The 4 Arven, I understand you need it really, and especially without Arceus, you're not being able to get that Starbirth potential to get what you need. The other thing is, 4 Rare Candy, 4 Ultra Balls, 2 Nest Balls, so consistency for BIP Pass, 2 Lost Zone, like I said, the Forest Seal Stones, the Choice Belt, 2 Lost City. So that's, I understand for certain matchups, obviously, when you want to try and, Lost Box matchups or Guardian matchups where they want to try and reload potentially a Cram, a Sable, a Routes, etc. And then 8 and Fire Energy. So, it's... I think for me the big is the Mawile with Tempting Trap. That seems to have come back again.
Because the Guardians have taken out Penny now. So
well, that's it. Especially like I said, if Umbreon's coming back as well with Mean Luck, if you all of a sudden you can trap someone there with no out. I mean, Lost Box can always get out, but things like Guardi rely on Psychic Embrace to retreat. So if you're not playing Penny, which a lot of decks aren't, because to be honest, people follow Tord and he took it out. So then all of a sudden, people are then not playing it now. So all of a sudden, that's when things like Mawile, Tempting Trap come into place, to be fair. So, I mean, it was interesting. Entei, I thought for a while, Entei, given how prominent Raikou is in all these decks, Miraidon, Lost Box, given, the amount of search it's got all an extra fleet-footed ability, but also how it can hit quite hard for very little. I was really surprised we didn't see Entei sooner rather than later. Delphox is another inclusion that I always thought would be good in Charizard, which doesn't see much play. And Radiant Zard is just a no-brainer for one energy. You can hit, probably late game, you can hit 250, 280 with a choice belt depending on target. So, yeah, I think overall it's a good list. Any of you guys going to try it?
Still too expensive. I can't justify. I can't justify buying three Charizards at £20 each plus shipping.
I've got one, but then I've got 2 collection boxes coming when they come out. So I do want to try I'd play Lost Zone over anything else with it.
Yeah, I would as well.
It's that I think that is
Most
if you want to play
consistent.
Charizard, that's
Because you have really good early game as well. You have really good.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the third place list, and it's identical to the first place list.
Yeah.
It's literally card for card. So that was Leonardo Walbrink. His
It
deck
all
was-
depends on his matchups as well.
Exactly, yeah. But then obviously we saw we did see some Arceus in there. So looking at the fourth place list, that was Arczard, which we with no Arven really at all, but a fair bit of outs there. It's got 4 Pokestop and Worker and Palpad. And then obviously Cross Switcher. Cross Switcher is quite interesting. But again, Path just shuts this deck down, doesn't it, really? It really does. But yeah, no, I mean, it is quite interesting, isn't it? So,
But it uses Arven, though. The Arven is to get out of Path, I guess.
well, no, the Arc version didn't. João Requenas in 4th place was using the Arceus deck that didn't have any Arven, whereas the William Azevedo's winning place deck, I played 4 Arven. So I suppose that is the difference. But yeah, I mean, kind of finishing up the top 10, like I said, 5 Charizards out of the top 8, and then finishing out the top 10 was 2 Rapid Strike boxes. So it's that deck's going absolutely nowhere. So, but yeah, I thought obviously we have referenced it a couple of times now, but I thought we would touch on it, and it is the point of. It's a point of contention really after Barcelona, because I believe, if I remember correctly, I can't remember, was it day 1 or day 2? It may have been it was day 2, I think, where on stream Tord was actually playing Alberto. So Tord Gardy EX was playing Alberto Benvenga, who was playing the Lost Box Charizard version, and obviously best of 3, 50 minutes on stream. Tord did very well first game, played it immaculately. I think Alberto struggled a bit as well. I think there was a lot of bricking, unfortunately, from his side, which obviously Lost Box decks are prone to. There's nothing new there. But Tord played it immaculately and took the lead with, I want to say, 20 minutes left on the timer, maybe 15, 20 minutes left on the timer.
Yeah, it's about 20 odd minutes left.
The game ended in a game win for Tord because they couldn't finish game 2. Now, Tord in game 2 never attacked once. He never set up any Pokemon to attack at all in that entire 15 minutes. He was stalling. He was stalling. Exactly, a stall deck. He was stalling from the get-go.
Yeah.
Whereas Alberto played flawlessly. He set up immaculately. I think he actually went 4 prizes ahead when time was called. And he was turn 0. And he took his 4th prize in turn 0. So he was never, and Tord didn't put a 2 prize down at all. So he was never taking the 2 prizes. So it was obviously a game win for Tord. Cram took all 4 of those because Tord didn't set up at all. Now, a lot of people were not happy with it. A lot of people went on Twitter. Obviously, Tord, like I said, mentioned before, he came 5th out in Barcelona overall. But it came. The big question is, Tord did nothing actually wrong in that match. He played within the rules. He would use a level ball. He'd look for something, put the deck down, check his hand, pick the deck back up, search again, put it down, have a look, pick it up, take out the Pokemon, shuffle. He'd then pass the opponent would cut, and then he would Fog Crystal. And then he'd go into the deck, he'd search. Now, he's doing nothing wrong. He is playing within the rules. And he wasn't time wasting because he was
just playing the actions.
He was playing the actions.
Yeah, he was playing the actions, yeah.
But
if it was anyone else, we wouldn't be having this discussion. Because we all know how quickly and accurately Tord can play.
Yeah.
It sticks out like a sore thumb when he doesn't play in his usual style.
Yeah.
And the fact is, not a single 2 prizer went down. He didn't attack. He had no intention of attacking. So the kind of the controversy was, is he slow playing is an issue, especially given sportsmanship as well, but it's also it's a serious issue because
he wasn't breaking the rules. So
he wasn't slow
But
playing.
there's a difference between
he was stalling.
Between not breaking the rules and just being a bad sportsman.
We'll take this. So in the cup on Sunday, in one of the games, we got towards 3 prizes each, and they'd called time, and I said to my opponent, I said, should we just? I'm not going to put any 2 prizes down. I'm not going to try and play for the win, because he had like 2 Charmanders down, and I was like, if I put a Gardevoir, you're just going to evolve it and knock it out. So I'm not putting a two prizes down. I'm just gonna put my 1 prizes down and just pass and not attack, and you won't be able to win in the allotted turns, and then we'll get the draw, because I didn't want to lose.
Yeah.
And
So what did they say?
So he just said, okay, yeah, let's just tie then. Why would I put, like, why would you do that? It's like you don't bench your 2 prizes like before you need them. Like, you don't bench them a turn in advance before you need them, because you know they're going to get knocked out. I understand that what he was doing was bad sportsmanship, and people might not like.
Very, very tactical, and
it's tactical, but he basically
the
played to win.
That's the whole point of the game. To
so
play,
play
your outs, play to win, and he did win.
Yeah.
Right, did he tie?
No, he got the match win.
Oh, right, yeah, he did, didn't he?
Because game 2 didn't finish.
Yeah.
This was our game 3 that I was talking about, so we drew. But yeah, if that was me, I would probably do the same. I want to win, and especially in that period of the tournament. I think it was at day 2. Maybe he was going into top 8 or something. Yeah, like you just would, and I don't think anyone would. Everyone would say, okay, well, you can have the game then, and I won't go into top 8.
I mean, everyone's out for themselves. At the end of the day, Tord is a professional Pokemon player, so he needs finishes for money. You know, that's his income. You know, and this is his reputation, etc., etc., etc. But it's just, it didn't feel good. It wasn't nice watching. It really wasn't.
It's not for us. He doesn't play for us. He doesn't play. It's not. It is entertainment, but at the end of the day, the players are not thinking, "Oh yeah, I'm going to just make this amazing play just because it looks good on camera." If you want to just bench routes and pass, like sometimes you just play that kind of game. Sometimes football teams, they just pass it around the defense or go to the court, like go to the corner, and that's not fun to watch.
No, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
I'm playing devil's advocate here, and I'm sticking up for Tord. It was a bummer to watch, because
but it
was frustrating as a viewer to watch it. It must have been frustrating to play against.
Yeah.
But he was playing to win.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it. I think it's. Yeah. I think unfortunately,
it's a pretty shitty way to win.
It is. Yeah, it is.
But it doesn't matter how he wins, really.
He wasn't breaking the rules. He was doing everything that he should. It's just that he's not playing rapid like he normally does.
Yeah, he's
just playing like a normal human.
Yeah, and I don't think it's like the rules should change. Like, it's not one of those things where someone does something and then like they change the rules to stop that happening. I don't think there's any rule that needs to change to stop what he did.
Yeah,
I do think though that Pokemon do need to look at it, especially you can't into the timing of the games or potentially monitoring.
Yeah, in general. Yeah,
in general, like not
chess.
just Tord, but I just I know it's probably not realistic having like the chess timers on the side, but something needs to be done.
Why not?
It won't work.
It won't.
Why not?
Because you have to do it for every action has an allotted time. So 15 seconds to do a deck search, and then you've got 10 seconds to play that card or whatever, and then you'll just be like that all the time.
No, I'm not saying make it like live, but kind of. in that you have, if the
2
match
minutes for your
is
turn or
40
something.
minutes, each player has 20 minutes to conduct their action.
Yeah.
If you've got 50 million actions and one turn takes 20 minutes, that's your
it.
turn.
Yeah. That's like decking out, basically. You decked out in time.
Like, that's you.
I mean, we've come so accustomed to it now that when we watch streams, or even when we're actually in our own competitive environments, if it's a Lost Box or a Guardy matchup, you're like, well, this ain't going to 3 matches.
No.
Because we've become so used to that now, and I think that Pokemon need to look into it. I don't think they will, because how can they? It is difficult, but
Well, they wanted to slow the games down, didn't they? And they've achieved that.
Yeah, but then you've still got decks like Miraidon, which can just set up in turn 1. Set up and win in turn 1 if you hit all generators. But yeah, no, it's definitely a point of contention. You speak to the community. A lot of people defend Tord, a lot of people do not defend Tord. It's really split the community. It's also split the community massively, I think, down the middle. And I think it's very frustrating, especially if you need a win and your opponent's playing like this. It must be the most frustrating thing in ever. And it's happened to me once before, and I just scooped and gave him the game because I was like, I ain't gonna win this now, because he's just literally taking 10 minutes for a fog crystal search.
Tord playing slow is the speed that normal people play at.
No, because I think people sequence. For example, if you've got a Battle VIP pass, or if you've got a Battle VIP pass and Nest Ball, or just say, for example, if you're playing
they play them both.
If you've got Nest Ball and Fog Crystal.
However, that's not what the card says when you read the card. The card says,
no, agreed.
Use your Fog Crystal, you get your Pokemon, you shuffle your deck. Use a Nest Ball, you get your Pokemon, put it on the bench, and shuffle your deck. That's what the card says.
Yeah.
And
I guess playing the game. I don't think he was even playing slow. He was just playing each card one at a time, and trying to like stall and trying to buy some time. But I don't think he was actually playing slow. I think he was just making it very difficult. He was playing a stall deck. You don't look at stall decks and say, well, they should do something. No, they've got morale in the active, and they're just they're just stopping you from retreating. That's all they're doing.
Yeah, but before Guardy, I don't think any of us really worried about going to time, did we really? None of us really.
Lost Box was a...
Lost Box, yeah.
But I think Lost Box versus Guardy, that's the big one where you're like, we're getting 1.5 games here.
Mew as well. Mew's I know Mew sets up fast and goes fast, but those turns take a long time because they're doing everything.
Yeah, sometimes they can.
I don't know. And we'll have to see, obviously, if we see what you guys think as well.
I think we're split down the middle, aren't we?
I think we're split down the middle here as well, exactly. It'd be interesting to see what you guys think as well. Let us know what you think. No one's right, no one's wrong, and obviously, Tor's been doing it for a lot longer than we have.
Well, what do you think he should have done? Do you think he should have taken the loss or taken the draw?
Sportsman-wise, yeah.
Would you have if you had Tord's ability, you were in Tord's shoes and you were up on stream, you were playing that second game, and that was a viable strategy that you knew how to do? Would you have just? You wouldn't.
No, exactly. It's difficult because, like I said, everyone's out for
you wouldn't have done it.
Everyone's out for themselves. There's no loyalties really. I mean, there is obviously if you ID and stuff like that, but everyone's out for themselves. But it was just the fact that I think if it was like 10 minutes or 5 minutes left of the round, I'd still set up as normal as I normally would. 20 minutes, I probably would try and play for the 2-0.
Yeah.
Well, I think he
didn't.
started off trying to play.
No, he never had any intention of getting
to play for.
No, you can get turn 2 Rare Candy Guardy if you want. It's not out of the realms of possibility. He had no intention of fighting in that game at all. Game 2. So yeah,
you just saw the tempo shift massively.
Exactly, yeah, 100%, yeah, 100%. But yeah, let us know in the comments what you think, or just let us know. Obviously, contact us on our social medias. Let you know what we think. It's really interesting topic, and it's definitely a point of contention in the community, and it's going to be interesting to see how it evolves. Really, I think the other thing we probably they'll move on to literally kind of links into it, is the amount of people now going to these regionals and going to these events, etc. You know, these regionals are getting bigger and bigger. I think Pittsburgh, how many was Pittsburgh? Just short of 1,500, or was it just over 1,500? The biggest regional to date. You know, the problem we're having over in Europe is the lack of actually availability for tickets in all of our events. Now, unfortunately, I don't think any of us have tried to get into Lille. None of us tried to get into Barcelona. None of us tried to get into Lille or Gdansk. By the time of recording, Gdansk went live today and it sold out in 5 minutes. And you know, the numbers were always sub 800 for Masters, and it's been a massive issue because we've had a lot of players from America, from Europe, all do travel around Europe to play. You know, I think Gabriel Smart's a big player who travels from America over to Europe, and he just couldn't get anything. You know, he's booked plane tickets. I think he said in his Twitter he's booked plane tickets and he can't even get over. Now, one thing that did happen. Well, that's it. Yeah, it's done massively so. But one thing that did, and hopefully this is a show of Pokemon moving in the right direction. It's not even Pokemon, to be honest, but it's more. I think it's obviously the tournament organisers, because I think is it TPCI? They allow the tournaments to run, and they choose the tournament operators. So I think originally it was. How many was there for? I want to say
700 and something.
750 something for Gdansk, which everyone just kicked off royally about. And eventually they have confirmed. They tweeted a couple of days ago saying, "Update: due to improvements on our floor plan, we are able to add 144 more spots to this TCG Masters division, 932 in total."
But
and it's still sold out in minutes.
My issue there is, where's that space come from, and is it still safe?
Yeah, they'll have
if they've just
the next room.
Well, hopefully
if it's
that's
like
the
a
case.
convention centre.
Hopefully that's the case. Because what you don't want is just an absolutely packed room and people falling over each other trying to get to tables.
Well, it's always going to be like that.
Yeah.
It's always going to be like that. I explained that. I explained that the other day
cramped.
to someone. Yeah, I explained that the other day to someone who was like, "Oh, I'd love to go to a regional, just to experience it." I was like, "It's chaos." And they were like, "Really? What do you mean?" I said, "Everyone stood on the phone, refreshing on the free Wi-Fi that's been hammered by 1,000 people for the pairings, and then literally there's a mad rush to find table 472 out of 1,000 tables."
Yeah, that's like rushing. 5 minutes.
It's chaos.
That 5 minutes where the pairings go up and everyone is just rushing to the tables.
And people are like that trying to refresh the phones.
Oh, it's awful. It's absolutely awful. But yeah, I mean, I think exactly. Yeah. So I mean, the thing is, from what I understand as well, the big thing is if there's less than 800 players, from my understanding, there's only 1 day of Swiss. Day 2 becomes Top Cut and then the final. Whereas if there's over 800, it all of a sudden becomes Day 2 Swiss, then Top Cut, then final. So it's a longer day. So that's why a lot of people have been saying this is why they've cut it. So obviously Gdansk has gone up to 932. Maybe they've scaled down the side events.
Maybe, yeah.
One of the guys at Fanboy just rages all the time about Pokemon Yoga. I mean, that's going to take up space, surely. Pokemon Yoga, you have all these mats and stuff, and I don't know what the hell Pokemon Yoga is, but I understand it is. I understand it's an event, but it's all for. It is all for the players. You know, we're the ones who are invested. You know, you got Pogo, you got VG and TCG. So I'm glad we're seeing an increase. The thing that makes me really, really worried is how many good players are not getting spaces because of the systems. And I'm not sure how they can improve it in terms of how they can actually improve the system. RK9 have sent loads of tweets out about how, it's not the system, it's just the pure volume of people attending and trying to get tickets. But some really good players are just not getting in.
If that's the case, and they know that the demand is going to outweigh the supply, why don't we look at other venues?
This is what
I think
would say.
I think they've got a contract with certain venues for like maybe 5 years, 5 years. I think I read somewhere, I watched a video somewhere that they've got contracts with these venues, but they've had them since before it kind of blew up, when Pokemon were actually only getting maybe 300-400 people to an event.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably blown up more than what they were anticipating. That's what I'd say.
They need to up it. They need to really up it. I mean, if we look now,
well, I think that's it. They don't have the space in the places that they've rented out. Yeah. So I guess they need to wait till the lease runs out and they can find a bigger place.
I mean, yeah, the ACC apparently says it's got space for. I don't know. ACC houses a 1,350 seat auditorium.
Yeah, but then you have VGC,
multi-purpose
TCG.
hall with an exhibition space of an 11,000 capacity arena, but it doesn't say 11,000 what. But they need something needs to be done, because this is my big worry is Liverpool. My big worry is Liverpool. That's if we wanted to go to Worlds, we've discussed obviously the point system beforehand. If we wanted to go to Worlds, we need to obviously do cups and challenges, which obviously we're slowly building up and getting them. We can only do top 6 at both. Then you need a good result in IC, EUIC, and then we need at least 1 or 2 regionals. Now Liverpool is the regional that we will go to. Yeah. I think we've even booked accommodation for both EUIC and that. EUIC I think will be fine. I don't know. I still a bit trepidation, but I think with the amount they'll know, because last time it was the biggest EUIC. This EUIC's purely got to hit over 2,000, and I definitely think that where was it based? London, obviously, but what was it called? The XL. The XL
Arena. Yeah.
That I think that can handle over 2,000. I think there's a lot of dead space in the EUIC that they had. Especially with the stalls and everything. I think they can definitely improve EUIC.
And I think different room to Worlds, wasn't it?
Exactly, because there was Star Wars Celebration the week before.
Yeah.
So I think if they get a different one, they've already said the date. I think that's going to be over 2,000. If regionals in America are 1,500, I'm just got to be over 2,000 for EUIC. So I'm hoping that we'll be okay there. But Liverpool makes me worried, because if they go back to under 800 again, it's going to be a nightmare. And then the thing is, though, this is what's happening, and I'm seeing it a lot, actually. So, for example, Lille was a big issue, because I know people, Andy will know them, so Ben and Matt at Fanboy, and 2 of their friends, they were all going to Lille. They've booked the train, because they're driving over, so they've booked the... is it a ferry they're getting over? Or I can't remember. Anyway, they've booked travel over, they're driving, they've booked accommodation. Only 1 out of 4 got in. And it's like, now what happens? They're not going to want to go over, because the side events are okay. It's not like EUIC, we've got a Pokemon Center and there's an actual event and this and that. What's going to happen now, though, for that one person that's got in, the other 3, and they're going to go over and do what? This is what makes me worried about Liverpool. What if you guys get in, I don't? I'll be absolutely devastated. I don't want to probably go then, realistically, but we've booked accommodation, and then the vice versa. The same with Andy, same with Kath.
I booked flights as well.
Well, exactly. It's just it's a worrying state, and I think surely that Pokemon needs to take a look into this, and the Outroar, and the it's mental. I can't believe we're still talking about this now.
No, yeah, it seems like we talk about it every so often. But.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is absolutely mental, but I think there's a lot of things, unfortunately, that Pokemon need to look at, and it's not presenting very well for the hobby in a competitive scene as a whole. Yeah, I mean, I think I saw, obviously Al mentioned being having some training with Jesper. I saw one of Jesper's tweets last week or the week before saying he's still not been paid from his top 8 finish last year.
I heard about that. That's
I think I saw that. Yeah.
Was it April this year or April last year? I can't remember. But that's people. If that's your job, that's people's livelihood, and he's not had a response at all. It's just embarrassing, and it has to go onto Twitter, and it just makes the whole hobby look awful, and it's a real shame, really. Fingers crossed they pull their fingers out, but I don't see it, because adding 144, adding an extra 144, I'm sure there was still like 1,000 people trying to go for those 144 spots in Gdansk. Makes me worried about Liverpool. But we'll get there as and when. I know we were going to cover potentially looking at 151 in the meta. I think we've kind of talked a bit too much about Tord and the capacity issues. But yeah, as Al mentioned at the beginning, very good card. I think we'll probably cover that next week, especially given that next week's episode will be when it's legal in the standard format. So I think we'll have a better understanding of it then as well. So I think we'll cover that next week. So please, guys, check in with us next week to make sure you hear that. Moving then on to our RTFC. I am going to nominate myself for an RTFC, and my RTFC is Fog Crystal, because I actually did have to read it to make sure it did say then shuffle your deck, because I didn't trust you guys.
Why wouldn't you have to shuffle your deck?
No, because I know shuffle your deck, but it's just a given, isn't it? Shuffle your deck, but it actually explicitly states it. I thought it's just a given.
Anytime you search your deck, you have to shuffle your deck.
Exactly, it's a given, right? It's a given.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I never realized, because you do it automatically. You know, you're on autopilot play. I actually read it. It does say then shuffle your deck. So I had to just double check. So for reference, guys, Fog Crystal.
Otherwise, your deck's stacked.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Search your deck for a psychic energy card or a basic psychic Pokemon. Reveal it. Put it in your hand. Then shuffle your deck, and it is definitely a basic, which I have learned. So that's the RTFC for this week. But yeah, I want to obviously say thank you guys for joining me. It's good to be back. Good to be back chatting Pokemon with you guys. Have you got anything you want to say? Speak now, forever hold your whatever until next week.
Peace.
Hold your peace until next week.
No, I'm good.
No, brilliant. Well, again, I want to thank each and every one of you for listening and joining us again on our podcast this week. If you want to keep in contact with us on our social media channels, the best way is on our Twitter account, which is @Training Court. We also have an Instagram account, which is @Training Court TCG. To watch us, the best place is on YouTube. We release every Friday in like with an asterisk, except for some weeks. We release every Friday on YouTube. And the best, again, just go onto YouTube and type Training Court TCG, or we're @Training Court TCG. To listen to us on your phone, your podcast device, the best way is the trainingcourt.podbean.com. Alternatively, you can catch us on Apple iTunes Podcast and Spotify by, again, just typing in the Training Court podcast. Again, if you are on those platforms, if you can give us a like, subscribe, let us know as well what you're enjoying and what you're not enjoying, and then obviously we keep on top of that just to make sure we're producing the best content for you guys.
We always try to answer every comment, so
we really do, yeah. No, and we'd love obviously discussing with the community. That's because we are part of it, and we're there every week and ourselves discussing the exact same things we discussed in this podcast. So again, thank you everyone for joining me, and we'll see you all next week. Take care.
bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.